Now, we've talked about indexes becoming fragmented and statistics going out of date. So what we recommend is to schedule some index maintenance. Now, there's a fantastic script out there by a guy called Ola Hallegren. It's called Ola Hallegren's index maintenance solution. It's completely free. You can find the GitHub for it. Just Google Ola Hallegren. It'll be the first result. What it is it's one master script and a few others that you apply, and you create an agent job and schedule your maintenance. Now, it has a bunch of parameters you can change. It is availability group aware. And basically, you run it, you schedule it. Now, as a default, the parameters on screen is what we'd go for. On a normal system, just a run-of-your-mill, nothing particularly unique, a standard system, this is probably a good starting point. And what this means is just to take you through a few of them, the fragmentation level 1 and fragmentation level 2 are the two very important parts of this. What that means is it looks for all queries, all indexes, and it looks at their fragmentation, and that returns as a percentage. Now, if they're over 80% fragmented, then this parameter will get used and it will rebuild the index when the maintenance is run. If it's below 80, but above 50% fragmented, then we'll reorganize the index. And you can see that from the fragmentation medium and high. It'll try and do them online first, and that's if you're on Enterprise Edition. If you're not, it'll do them offline, which is your only option if you're on another version, like standard. So we're only going to rebuild our heavily fragmented tables. Now, the next two very important parts are the last two. You've got update statistics all, and you got the sample is 100. Now, that's basically saying whenever this is run, do a full stats refresh across the entire environment. That has a lot of advantages. There are a couple of gotchas with that, but the statistics sample, what that also means is when SQL Server is creating those histograms and the layout of the data, sometimes it doesn't read all of the data. It'll have a quick scan and go, yeah, this is about it. It's fine. The statistics sample means no, actually go through, look at it all and build me a proper histogram, please. Now, the gotchas with statistics being updated is we're doing, as part of this, we're updating all statistics across all tables in the database and all indexes. When you update statistics, any execution plans which have previously been worked out by SQL Server and stored in the plan cache will get nullified. We're starting again when it comes to the plan cache. Now, often you're going to make a better plan next time you run it, but it does mean the first time any queries run, you'll have to create an execution plan for it. It happens automatically, but it does come with a little bit of overhead. You're talking hundreds of milliseconds in most cases of building the execution plan, storing it in the plan cache, and then going again. But it's worth noting it doesn't come without its gotchas. But yeah, I'd highly recommend this. Now, depending on your environment, our default would be to schedule this overnight, every night of the week. And you want to do it out of hours because you'll be redoing this, and that's heavy on I/O. You're reading them all off disk, rebuilding them, chucking them back, anything that needs to be rebuilt. And that can take hours. So what you'd want to do is run this once with quite high thresholds, see how long it takes in your environment, see if it causes any blocking, because whilst this is doing it, if it's having to rebuild them offline, no other queries can access that data while it's being rebuilt. With online, you're usually fine. It rebuilds them and then switches the data out at the end. So it's quite a quick cutover. But it's not free. It's intense when you run this. If you've got a particularly large system or particularly slow I/O subsystem, maybe do it once a week on a weekend. That's very much it depends on your system. As a starting point, most systems, I'd start with these parameters and schedule it overnight or out of hours, wherever your users use the system. For most people, that's within working hours. Now, common mistakes people make with indexing, ignoring the maintenance. we've covered that. You want to maintain your indexes. Over-indexing, and I've mentioned this. If you create too many, that's extra storage, extra data read off disk, stored in memory. Your page life expectancy is going to go down because you can't store stuff in memory as much because you're trying to store more in memory. And also when you're inserting, when I mentioned the inserting into 20 indexes, all of those have to be synchronized. If you're in an availability group, that has to be synced across your network to your second node of your AG. That's all extra work. So that's something to consider as well. If you create too many indexes, you're going to have pain when it comes to write operations and network and disks and what have you. At the other end of the spectrum is under indexing. If you create all your tables and heaps and don't create indexes, your system's going to suck. It's going to run. It's like you're walking through mud. We see both of these. I've seen them both in my career. Aggressively over-indexing or aggressively under-indexing queries, indexes. So we want to be conscious of what we're doing. We want to create as many indexes as necessary, but as few as possible. Kind of find that balance. Brent Ozar uses the 5x5 rough rule of thumb, which is that he wants at most 5 indexes on a table covering 5 columns. Again, very rough, but it's a nice catchy 5x5 to kind of use as an initial guideline. But again, don't live by them. It's not a hard and fast rule. One thing we also see is duplicate indexes or borderline duplicate indexes. And what that means is you've got indexes which are perhaps indexed on the same fields, but with different includes. Why would you have those 2 indexes separate? Why don't you just have one index, which is the same indexed fields, which is what we're searching on. It's it's in our where or our join, our predicates, but then mash the two in all the includes together. So you're only storing that data once rather than having 2 separate indexes to produce the same result. And similarly, borderline, where you have one index that's indexed on reputation, and then another one that's reputation and display name. Why have the first one if you've got the second one? You're still indexing the first column the same. You're just indexing an additional one. Does it make sense to perhaps combine those and just have the one index? This is when we come back to it being more of an art than a science. And one thing I mentioned earlier, briefly, was for any of you that have looked at an execution plan, at the top you can see a missing query hint where it says that I'm missing an index here. Sorry, I'm missing indexing. I'm missing an index here, and it could be multiple. But basically, SQL Server says, I want this index. I'm going to run 99% faster with this index, which sounds fantastic. And it may do. But it's worth noting that when you talk about indexing multiple fields, they are indeed indexed in order. So going back to the idea of the users table in Stack Overflow, I want to index, let's say it had first name separate from last name, and it had account ID. So I want to search for all account IDs. Sorry, and no, maybe we use reputation and name. I want to search for all reputations for people called Richard with a reputation over 10,000. So you want to index both of those fields. Now, which one do you want to index first? Because you're going to effectively order by one and then do a sub ordering within that for the second. Now, if I grouped by Richard first, display name comes first. There may be 10,000, 100,000 Richards. I then want to search for, of those 100,000 people with a reputation over 10,000, which might be 100, 10. So if I index them that way around, it would be going, okay, 100,000 records read. And then, oh, actually, I only want these 10. And then I return 10 to the query and carry on. But to do that, I've read 100,000 rows. If I index the fields the other way round, there may only be 1,000 people with a reputation over 10,000. And then within that, there might only be one Richard. Or to be fair, in this scenario, there'd be 6 Richards, 4 Richards. But the point is, the first indexed field in the order means that I'm actually only working with 10,000 rows of data rather than 100,000. So the order matters. And when SQL Server asks for an index, whether that be in the Blitz script we'll talk about in a minute, the Blitz index script, or in an execution plan, it doesn't consider the order of the index fields. It will just take the order in which they are in the table. So if display name came before reputation, it would ask for display name reputation. You need to go in and check the cardinality of your data, which data is more unique, before considering which way you want to index. So don't believe it. And also, I mean, it might get it right by chance, but don't put your faith in it. It's also worth noting that those indexes only requested based upon the where clause predicates, not on joins in the on clause. It won't ask for those. So bear that in mind as well. There may be indexes that can benefit your query that SQL Server won't ask for because it doesn't know. It's not quite that smart yet. So you can bully it. Just be aware of those.